anatomy of cornea and congenital anomaly and different types of investigations done in case of corneal diseases and different types of clinical features occur in case of corneal disease like opacity, infiltrations, photophobia, these are. So, and we have already discussed about classification, different kinds of classification of corneal ulcer. So, today we start here corneal ulcer. So, corneal ulcer we discussed under the topic of heading of these 5 headings. What are the predisposing factors, pathology, clinical features, complications and treatment. So, predisposing factors of the corneal ulcer. First one is the old age and second one is the patient suffering from any diseases like diabetic, hypertension or immunocompromised, immunosuppressed disease and malnutrition and vitamin A deficiency and having some septic foci. Septic foci means maybe having the conjunctivitis or there is the infection in the sac or any infection in the nose. That are the septic foci. And local causes may be, first one is the trauma, it may be foreign body abrasions and trichiasis. Then exposure is due to proptosis or leg ophthalmos. And patient is suffering from severe dry eye, that is the vitamin A deficiency and dacryocystitis. This is the most common cause of the hypopyon corneal ulcer. If patient is having dacryocystitis, more prone to the corneal hypopyon corneal ulcer. And necrosis, it is due to the malnutrition and it results keratomalacia. There is drying and opacity of the cornea. And loss of sensation, it occurs in case of the neurotrophic corneal ulcers, that is herpes zoster viral infection. Or then pathology is described in under 3 headings. First stage is the stage of infiltration and second one is the ulcerative stage and third one is the healing stage. Here only infiltration of microorganism, invasion of the organism and infiltrations of the polymorph nuclear neutrophils occur and here ulcer is progressed and in this stage after treatment or due to the if not treated and patient is not immunocompromised, patient is healthy, then it starts healing automatically. And this is the healing stage. And healing stage, it may be depend on the stage of the diseases and the layer of the cornea is involved. So, healing stage has different scenario according to the stage of corneal ulcer and the type of corneal ulcer. Stage of infiltration, in which there is the localized disc of the polymorph cellular infiltrations and in this stage there is the edema of the cornea is occur and there is ciliary ingestion, means circumcorneal congestion. Then stage of ulceration is ulcerative stage. It is divided into 2 groups. First is the progressive stage, when virulent organism is very virulent and here when the healing is starts and this is called the regressive stage. Some parts are ulcerative and some parts healing occur. So, we discussed about the progressive stage. In progressive stage, there are lots of exudates and uh, necrotic materials are present on the over the floor of the ulcers, and organism and inflammatory cells are also present on the floor, and cornea is swollen and edematous, and there is the clear cut line of demarcation between the clear cornea and diseased cornea. And here the leukocyte infiltrations occur, and these are the second line of defense mechanism which engulf the microorganism and with digestive function and macerating, and also in this stage they are dissolve the necrotic tissues and they are thrown out as a discharge. So, in case of corneal ulcer, regular cleaning is essential to wash out the microorganisms, and in this stage also occur some toxins liberated by the microorganism. They are absorbed by cornea and affect the iris, and that causes iritis, and there is infiltrations of the dead cells, and that are and epithelial necrotic cells, and they are settled at the bottom of the anterior chamber, and that is called hypopyon. In this stage, this hypopyon is due to the iritis, and this is the sterile hypopyon. If there is the secondary infection occur, then it is called unsterile hypopyon. Then clean ulcer, it is the regressive stage. Here healing is occur. So, here size of the ulcer is bigger as compared to the progressive stage, and there is no necrotic materials. Inflammatory conditions, inflammatory cells are also reduced in number, and proliferation of epithelial cell starts. And here vascularization is increased, and due to the increased vascularization there is the blood flow increases, and antibiotic and other substance that are essential for the healing liberated there, and they destroy the microorganisms. Then healing stage, third one is the healing stage. Healing occur through the epithelial migration and proliferation, and second one is the fibrosis, and source of fibroblasts are vessels, keratocytes and macrophages. Some vessels are obliterated, and that one is called the host vessels. It is generally asked in the viva, what are host vessels? Then Bowman's membrane. If Bowman's membrane is destroyed, then corneal opacity occur, and if only epithelium is destroyed, it is healed by without scarring. But if Bowman's membrane is involved, there is opacity occur, and this opacity may be depend upon the deepness of the involvement. If so, it is divided into three groups. Nebular opacity. Nebular opacities is occur. This is very faint opacities. You can't see with naked eye. Only see with torchlight or slit lamp examination. And leucoma. This is the dense white opacity, and you can see it with naked eye. And this is the macular opacity. Macular opacity is the medium density between nebula and leucoma, and in this condition with torchlight you can visualize the pattern of iris, but in this leucoma you can't see the pattern of iris due to the dense opacity. Then clinical features of the corneal ulcer. First one is every corneal ulcer patient is having pain. Second one is the photophobia. What is photophobia? Intolerance of light. And lacrimation. Lacrimation is the due to the irritations of the nerve endings, causes watering. And blepharospasm. What is blepharospasm? Spasm of the orbicularis muscles. There is inability to open the eye and swollen and painful. That is called blepharospasm. And fifth one is the diminution of vision. What is the reason of diminution of vision? Here transparency is lost due to edema of the cornea. Transparency is lost due, first one is edema, second one is cellular infiltration, and third one is the irregularity of the surface. Then signs. First, patients of the corneal ulcer. This is the eye of the, so you see the swollen eye here. This is swollen and redness due to the blepharospasm. Then second one is the lacrimation. Lacrimation is due to the irritation of nerve endings. And ciliary ingestion. This condition is called ciliary ingestion. Then loss of luster. Here cornea is opaque and edematous due to the cellular infiltration, and it can be stained. Here is, this one is the ulcer, and here staining is occurs. This is fluorescent stain. And if there is infiltrations of polymorph nuclear cells and they are settled at the bottom of the anterior chamber, this is called the hypopyon due to iridocyclitis. Here this is the corneal ulcer, and this is we see in the normal light, and here we see in the blue filter with slit lamp examination. And this is also stained, and this is the dendritic ulcer we discuss about later on. And here it is also a hypopyon corneal ulcer, and this is the disciform keratitis. So now we discuss about the complications. So complications are corneal ulcer are divided into two groups. First one is the complications of the non-perforated corneal ulcer and complications of the perforated corneal ulcer. So complications of the non-perforated corneal ulcer, it may be early complications and delayed complications. In early complication, first one is the iridocyclitis plus hypopyon. It is due to the diffusion of toxins to the cornea into the anterior chamber. Second one is the secondary glaucoma. In this case, intraocular pressure is raised, and cause is the early causes is due to the plasmoid aqueous hypopyon that obstruct the drainage of aqueous fluid, and second one is due to the PAS means peripheral anterior synechia. ठीक है, due to peripheral anterior synechia, angle is blocked, and there is obstruction in the drainage pathway. So in this case also intraocular pressure is raised. Then third one is the desmetocele. What is desmetocele? Which layer is the Descemet's membrane? Which layer? Fourth, fifth. Pre-Descemet layer, then Descemet layer. So it is the fifth layer. There are total 6th layer of the cornea. So if the ulcer destroy the whole thickness of the cornea up to the Descemet's membrane, in front of the Descemet's membrane are destroyed, so this Descemet's membrane is transparent and it is bulged forward when it is bulging due to increase of intraocular pressure, and there is this is it becomes a sac like structure that is called desmetocele. And if the pressure is very high and patient is sneezing, coughing, or is straining due to stool, in that condition this desmetocele is also burst, and that is called perforated corneal ulcer. So it desmetocele has two fate. First, it may be rupture with perforation, and second one is if pressure is not raised normal or below, then it healing occur and cicatrizations occur. Then desmetocele doesn't occur in the children because in children Descemet's membrane is very thin, and when ulcer occur in the children, this Descemet's membrane is also destroyed. In typical hypopion corneal ulcer, and abscess in affect the deeper layer of the cornea. So there is no formation of desmetocele in children. Then late complications. Late complications may be corneal opacity and defective corneal scarring and corneal vascularization. We already discussed about vascularization, two types, deep vascularization and superficial vascularization. That is the clinical conditions of the disease of cornea. Then corneal opacity. Here corneal opacity are three types: nebula, macula and leucoma non-adherent. In nebular corneal opacity, this is the faint superficial corneal opacity, and iris is partially seen through the cornea. And macular corneal opacity has the medium density, and we see the iris with difficulties. And the third one is the leucoma non-adherent. Adherent means adhesion. Here corneal opacity is present due to the deep layer of cornea is involved, and the dense deep white opacity is present, and healing occur, and iris is not prolapse in front of. But if deeper layer is involved and pressure is increased, then iris also protrude forwards to close the perforation, sealing of the perforation. So, in that condition it is called leucoma adherent. Leucoma adherent with white corneal opacity with attachment of the iris tissues, and the leucoma non-adherent, there is no incarceration of iris tissue. Then defective corneal scarring. Defective corneal scarring, it is due to the level of layer of cornea is involved. First it forms the corneal facet. There is the depression, like you have the plate saucer shaped. There is the saucer shaped depression, and here this is due to the insufficient scar tissues, and epithelialization is reduced in this condition. There is not much epithelialization. Then second one is the keratectasia. Here scar is weak, and if pressure is increased, it bulges outside. This is called keratectasia. And pseudopterygium. Sometimes iris tissue is adhered to the base of the corneal ulcer, and it looks like a pterygium. That is called pseudopterygium. And you learn it in the case topic under conjunctivitis, where what is the pterygium and what is pseudopterygium. Pterygium is firmly attached to the cornea, conjunctiva. and pseudoteresium is the only adhere to the superficial layer of the conjunctiva, and if we pass the glass rod, we easily pass under glass rod under the pseudoteresium, but we can't able to pass the uh, glass rod underneath the teresium. It bleeds due to firm adherence. Then corneal vascularization. We already discussed about it. This one is the superficial and this is the deep. Here vessels are prominent. It is present between the layer of basement membrane and stroma, and it is present deeper layer of the stroma. So it is faint, and this type of vascularization is present if the conjunctiva is also involved, and mainly occur in the trachoma and conjunctivitis, and deep layer it is involved in the episcleral vessels. And if there is the deep corneal ulcer. Then complications of the perforated corneal ulcer. That one is the non-perforated corneal ulcer. Now we discuss about the complications of perforated corneal ulcer. So complications of the perforated corneal ulcer, it depends on the size and shape of the perforation. Yeah, it may be a peripheral perforation and a central perforation. Peripheral perforation, it may be small and large, and the central perforation, it may also be small perforation and large perforation. So peripheral perforation, if perforation is small and present in the peripheral part, it creates anterior synechia. That is called peripheral anterior synechia. And if large peripheral perforation is present, then iris prolapse. And it adhere to the epithelial tissues, and here leukoma adherent is formed. And second one is the corneal staphyloma. There is epithelial tissue exudates, and this epithelium protrude forwards, and here pseudocornea is formed, and here if there is pressure occur, it is protrusion of the anterior part of the cornea is occur. This is called staphyloma. Staphyloma is 5 types. This is called anterior staphyloma. If it occur at the site of limbus, that is called intercalary staphyloma. If it is occur in the equatorial, it is called equatorial staphyloma. If it is present in the posteriorly, it is called posterior staphyloma. And if between the limbus and iris, it is called intercalary staphyloma. So total 5 types of staphyloma is present. Staphyloma means protrusion of the weaker part of the eyeball. It may be anteriorly, posteriorly, or equatorial, or at the limbus. Then central perforation. So central perforation, it may also be small and large. If a small perforation is present in the central part at the pupillary area, so there is no iris tissue to cover the perforation. So here one fistula is formed. This is called a corneal fistula, and if anterior surface of the lens comes in contact with the exudates and corneal ulcer, there occur cataractous changes. That is called anterior polar cataract. Then large central perforation. If large central perforation occur, it may lead to the suppurative iridocyclitis. It also affects the iris. Then if infection goes inside the vitreous cavity, and that is called endophthalmitis. Then second one is the intraocular hemorrhage. Hemorrhage may be vitreous hemorrhage, retinal hemorrhage and choroidal hemorrhage. And expulsive hemorrhage. Sometimes expulsive hemorrhage is also present, and if infections goes inside, it also affects the zonule of the lens, and it causes subluxation, dislocation or extrusion of the lens. What is dislocation? When the normal lens displaces from their normal anatomical position, that is called dislocation. It may be anteriorly, it is called anterior dislocation. If it may be posteriorly, it is called posterior dislocation, and it is called subluxation. Subluxation means part of the lens is present in the pupillary area and a part of the lens is away from the pupillary area. That is called subluxation due to the zonular dehiscence. Then treatment of the corneal ulcer. Treatment of the corneal ulcer is divided into three groups. First is the what is the cause is treated. Second one is the treatment of the ulcer itself, and the third one is the treat the complications. What are the complications occur? So etiological treatment, we treat the remove the predisposing cause. If patient is immunocompromised, his nutrition is improved. If ulcer is due to the conjunctivitis, so treat the conjunctivitis. If patient is having sac infection, so the dacryocystitis, that should be treated. And this treatment may be, second one is the treatment of the ulcer. It may be local and general treatment. Local treatment, it may be non-specific and specific. And specific treatment is again divided into two groups, medical and surgical. Then general treatment. So local treatment, first every case of the ulcer is cleaned and remove the discharge. And second one is warm compression is given. It counter irritant effects occur and dilate the blood vessels, and that remove the toxins and also provide the antibiotics due to the increased vascularization. And third one is the protection of eye. Corneal ulcer should not be patched if there is discharge is present. If discharge is present, then only you provide goggles to protect from sunlight and exposure to air. And if there is no discharge, then we apply the patch. Then third one is the therapeutic soft contact lens. This is given in case of the non-healing corneal ulcer. Soft contact lens are given to improve the healing. Then specific treatment. Specific treatment, it is also divided into two groups, medical treatment and surgical treatment. So in medical treatment, we send the smear for culture, sensitivity and to find out the causative organism, and also stain the ulcer to assess the extent of the ulcer, and treatment is start immediately. We don't wait the result of culture and sensitivity report. And after, if culture and sensitivity report received, then we modify the treatment according to the causative organism. Then first we start the broad spectrum antibiotic, eye drops and ointment. Eye drops are given in the daytime and ointment are given at bedtime. And if result of culture sensitivity occur, then we treat, modify the treatment according to the organism. And in severe cases, we use the fortified eye drops. And then subconjunctival injection of antibiotics is also given in case of the hypopion corneal ulcer if patient's ulcer is not improved with fortified eye drops. Then mydriatic and cycloplegic drugs. Mydriatic and cycloplegic drugs are given to relieve the pain and to prevent the posterior synechia. Posterior synechia means adhesion between the iris and anterior surface of the lens. That is called posterior synechia. If we atropinize or given the cycloplegic drugs, they prevent the formation of posterior synechia and also reduce the pain due to relieving the spasm of ciliary body. Then causes of failure of treatment. What are the causes of failure of treatment of corneal ulcer? If we are having the fungal corneal ulcer and given antibiotics or viral, if not proper treatment are given, incorrect diagnosis and second one is the incorrect treatment, mismatched. So in this condition, non-healing is failure of treatment of healing of ulcer occur, and third one is the due to the toxicity of the drugs. This is the another cause which causes failure of healing. Then surgical treatment. Surgical treatments there are three types of surgical treatment. First is the torsorrhaphy, second one is the conjunctival flap, and the third one is the therapeutic keratoplasty. What is torsorrhaphy? If it is given in case of the patient is having lag ophthalmos. Lag ophthalmos means inability to close the eye properly during sleep hours. This is called lag ophthalmos. In this torsorrhaphy is two types. It may be lateral torsorrhaphy and median or paramedian torsorrhaphy. Lateral torsorrhaphy is done in case of the lag ophthalmos or facial palsy, and paramedian or median torsorrhaphy, it is given in case of the neuroparalytic keratitis. Then conjunctival flap. In case of the peripheral corneal ulcer, we apply the conjunctival flap to improve the healing of the corneal ulcer. And the third one is the therapeutic keratoplasty. Keratoplasty is two types. First one is the therapeutic and second one is the optical keratoplasty. Therapeutic keratoplasty is given to maintain the integrity of the eyeball. Here there is no improvement of vision, but we maintain the integrity of the eyeball. And in optical keratoplasty, there is integrity is already maintained and patient is having corneal opacity, and we want to improve the visual acuity. That is called keratoplasty. Optical keratoplasty. And optical keratoplasty is again two types. It may be full thickness keratoplasty and partial thickness keratoplasty. If opacity is faint, then partial keratoplasty is done, and if opacity is dense, then full thickness penetrating keratoplasty is done. Then treatment of the complications. What are the other complications present in case of corneal ulcer that must be treated? First one is the iritis. Iritis means inflammation of iris. It is also called iridocyclitis. If inflammation of the iris as well as ciliary body is occur, that is called iridocyclitis. And second one is secondary glaucoma. Secondary glaucoma is due to peripheral anterior synechia and there is obstruction in the flow of aqueous humor at the level of trabecular basework. Third one is the desmetocele. Desmetocele should be treated, and if there is perforation is occur, then it should also be treated, and large leucoma adherent, and corneal fistula. If fistula is present, then fistulectomy is done, and keratoplasty is done to cover the fistula and perforation. Anterior staphyloma. If anterior staphyloma, it is also treated, and then endophthalmitis. If the infection goes inside the eyeball and affect the inner layer of the eyeball, that is called endophthalmitis, it should be treated. So these are all complications, it must be treated. Then we discuss about the specific clinical type of primary corneal ulcers. Primary infective corneal ulcer, it may be 4 types: bacterial keratitis or hypopian corneal ulcer, and the second one is the viral keratitis, it may be herpes simplex keratitis and herpes zoster keratitis. Then fungal ulcer is also called mycotic ulcer or mycotic keratitis, and fourth one is the parasitic or acanthamoeba keratitis. So now we discuss about this bacterial keratitis and hypopian corneal ulcer. So hypopian corneal ulcer, it is also called ulcus serpens or serpiginous ulcer, acute serpiginous ulcer, and a patient is having the chronic dacryocystitis is more prone to the hypopian corneal ulcer, and this ulcer creeps over the cornea, that's why it is called ulcus serpens. And here one end is healing stage and other stage is growing the corneal ulcer, advancing age of the ulcer. Then etiology and first one is predisposing factors. Virulence of the organism, second one is abrasion, and the third one is the poor general conditions. If organism is highly virulent and corneal abrasion is must in case of the hypopian corneal ulcer, and if patient's resistance power is low, so this is this kind of patient is prone to the hypopian corneal ulcer. First one is the chronic dacryocystitis. Chronic dacryocystitis is the most common cause of hypopian corneal ulcer. 50% of the pneumococci, these are the source of hypopian corneal ulcer, and it occur from sac infection. And second one is corneal abrasion. Corneal abrasion is also necessary to progress the hypopian corneal ulcer, and corneal abrasions occur due to foreign body impact or injury of the fingernails or injury by eyelashes. It may be entropion or trichiasis, that continuous rubbing the cornea and causes corneal abrasion. And if poor general health is present, it is also the important cause to leading to hypopian corneal ulcer. Then causative organism. If the hypopian corneal ulcer is caused by pneumococci, 80% of the hypopian corneal ulcer is caused by pneumococci, and this is called typical hypopian corneal ulcer. And another one is the atypical hypopian corneal ulcer, it is 20%. So 20% is caused by the bacteria, this is the Morex oxen-filled bacilli, it is also called angular conjunctivitis, and pyogenic organism. And the second one is the fungi, it may be Aspergillus fumigatus and virus and protozoa. It is very rare, but most common is this bacteria, Murex oxenfeld bacilli and fungi. If hypopion corneal ulcer is caused by this organism, it is called atypical, and if caused by the pneumococci, it is called typical hypopion corneal ulcer. Then pneumococci, already discussed this. Then how to differentiate the typical hypopion corneal ulcer and atypical hypopion corneal ulcer. So, typical hypopion corneal ulcer is caused by pneumococci, and atypical hypopion corneal ulcer is caused by other organism, that is the bacteria, fungi and protozoa. And the site, it starts near the center. Typical hypopion corneal ulcer starts at the center, and atypical it starts anywhere other than center. And character, it is serpiginous in nature and it spreads in all directions, and it has a particular direction, that is called serpiginous. Then desbetocele, desbetocele is very rare in case of the typical hypopion corneal ulcer, but that desbetocele may or may not be occur in case of the atypical hypopion corneal ulcer. Perforation, perforation is more common here, because here desbetocele is not formed, so it is more prone to the perforation, and atypical hypopion corneal ulcer is less prone to perforation. Then clinical features. Clinical features are same as discussed in the general clinical features of the corneal ulcer, but intensity is more as compared to the normal bacterial corneal ulcer. And the signs, here ulcer is disc shaped, and it is present near at the center of the cornea, and its nature is the serpiginous, means creeps over the inner layer of the cornea, and that's why it is having the advancing and healing edge both. And central advancing edge, this is crescentic, undermined and densely infiltrated, and peripheral part is the healing. Here is the flat epithelialization, vascularization and cicatrization is also present. Then deep ulcer, deep ulceration and posterior abscess formation and perforation. So, this perforation is more common due to involvement of the deeper layer of the cornea, and if deeper layer of the cornea is involved, there is abscess is formed, and this abscess destroy the Descemet's membrane. So, this ulcer also infiltrate the posterior layer, and there is weakening of the integrity of the cornea, and that's why perforation is occur. Then hypopion corneal ulcer. This is the picture of hypopion corneal ulcer. This is the pus. It is also learned if pus is present in the anterior chamber, that is called hypopion corneal ulcer. If in case of the injury, if there is present blood in the anterior chamber, that is called, what is? Hyphema. If blood is present in the anterior chamber, that is called hyphema, and if pus is present in the anterior chamber, it is called hypopion corneal ulcer. Hypopion corneal ulcer is also associated with polymorph fibrin iris pigments. These are iris pigments, and here iris is also involved. So, there is the posterior synechiae is also present, and this is the part of lens, and this one is the iris, inflamed iris. Here loss of the pattern of the iris. Then here hypopion corneal ulcer is over. Then we talk about the viral corneal ulcer. What is the time? We have time. So, viral keratitis. Viral keratitis, two types. It may be the herpes simplex keratitis and herpes zoster ophthalmicus, two types. And herpes simplex keratitis. Herpes simplex keratitis is a DNA virus and human is the only host. And herpes simplex virus is divided into two groups, herpes simplex virus type 1 and type 2. Type 1 is affect the above the waist, that is face, lips and eyes, and herpes simplex virus 2, it affects below the waist, that affects the genital part of the patient, and this is called genital herpes. Then clinical features of the viral keratitis, herpes simplex virus keratitis, it is divided into three groups. First is the primary ocular infection, second is the recurrent keratitis, and third one is the trophic keratitis or metaherpetic keratitis. So, primary ocular infection, it may be blepharoconjunctivitis and keratitis. What is blepharoconjunctivitis? If conjunctivitis is associated with the inflammation of the lid, that is called blepharoconjunctivitis. Keratitis means inflammation of the cornea, and recurrent keratitis, if it may involve the epithelial layer, epithelial keratitis, and if involve the deeper layer, that is called stromal keratitis. And the trophic keratitis, here exudates are present and deeper layers are also involved. Then in case of the primary herpes simplex virus, we discuss it. First, what is the causative organism, second one is the clinical features, then treatment. Cause, it is caused by the direct transmission of the virus through infected secretions from one person to another, and patient is non-immune subject. Then clinical features are present. It primary herpes simplex virus commonly affect the children age group of 6 months to 5 years. It may be unilateral or bilateral. There is ocular irritation, redness, and associated with the generalized symptoms of the viral fever. Patient is also having fever, but this primary herpes infection, it is rare before the age of 6 months of the child, and patient is child below 6 months having the protection given by the maternal antibodies. Then signs. First is it is mild and self-limiting disease, and blepharoconjunctivitis is present, and skin lesion. Skin lesions are more common, and here first vesicles are formed, then these vesicles burst and crust formation is occur, and after crushing there is the healing occur, but there is no formation of scar tissue. And if involve the lid and peripheral part of the periorbital part of the eyes. Then keratitis, it only involves the superficial layer of the cornea, that is called epithelial punctate keratitis, and epithelial layer of the cornea is involved in 50% of cases. So, corneal lesion and skin lesion, and if lid is involved, that is called blepharoconjunctivitis. This is the picture of herpes simplex keratitis. These are vesicles, they are erupt, crust, then healing occur, and after healing there is no scar tissue, these are replaced, and it involves the lip and periorbital areas, and more common in the age group of 6 months to 5 years. Treatment. Most cases are patient is having subclinical and suffering from mild fever. So, supportive treatment is given for fever, and blepharoconjunctivitis, it is also self-limited. There is no treatment is required. And keratitis, if keratitis is present, then acyclovir ointments are given 5 times a day for 3 weeks. Then recurrent keratitis. So, recurrent keratitis, it may be 3 types. First one is the epithelial keratitis, only epithelium is involved. Second one is the strobal keratitis, stroba of the cornea is involved. And the third one is the disciform keratitis. Here keratitis is the present in the center and disc-like pattern. So, recurrent epithelial keratitis, it also be described what are the cause and what is the clinical pictures and what is the treatment. So, this is caused by the recurrent is if patient is relieved from the acute stage and it remains inactive for some period, then reactivation occur, that is called recurrent keratitis. And recurrent keratitis, here latent virus and invasion of the corneal epithelium occurs. And presentation is, it is maybe acute onset, sudden patient is having pain, fever, redness, photophobia and blurring of vision. And it is only unilateral, but maybe bilateral, but only unilateral. Then signs, recurrent herpetic corneal ulcer, it may be 2 types, dendritic form and disciform. So, this is the dendritic ulcer, this pattern is called dendritic and it is stained by fluorescein dye, greenish color. So, it starts in the satellite and it is called superficial punctate epithelial keratitis, PEK, punctate epithelial keratitis. And these punctate epithelial keratitis joined each other and form a dendritic structure. And if this dendritic ulcer is also expand in its size, then it becomes geographical viral corneal ulcer. And fluorescein is stained, it is the base of the ulcer, and in this case sensation is, corneal sensation is reduced because viral corneal ulcer affect the nerve endings. Then geographical ulcer, this is called geographical ulcer. If this dendritic ulcer increase in the size, that is called geographical ulcer. Here this is the geographical ulcer. This is the patient and this is the in the blue picture taken with blue filter. Then treatment. Treatment is antiviral drugs are also given in this case, and here 3% acyclovir ointments are given 5 times a day for 3 weeks. And if a patient is having fever and other problem, so supportive managements are given. Then second one is the strobal keratitis, that is the epithelial involvement, and this one is the stromal involvement. It may also be discussed under these 3 headings: cause, clinical features and treatment. So, cause, it is caused by the virus and it destroys the deeper layer of the cornea. Then clinical features. Clinical feature, it is gradual in onset and it may be unilateral, redness and severe pain. Severe pain is present and visual impairment. Visual impairment is severe in case of the epithelial keratitis, because in stromal keratitis deeper layer of the cornea is involved. So cornea become more hazy and opaque, and that causes severe blurring of vision. Signs: here is the cheesy necrotic stromal materials are present just like the bacterial corneal ulcers, and it may also be associated with the anterior uveitis, and anterior uveitis and anterior uveitis is also having the capes, you know capes, keratic precipitates. That may be two types, that may be small keratic precipitates and mutton fat capes. Mutton fat capes are bigger in size, and small punctate capes, and it is due to the infiltration of the underlying stromal infiltrates. So here is the stromal necrotic keratitis. Here necrosis and sloughing and exudates are present in the center part of the cornea. This one is also, and here vascularization is also present, and the peripheral part, these are the circumciliary congestion. Then complications. Complications are vascularization and scarring, and perforation. Perforation is very rare in case of the viral corneal ulcer. Treatment. Our first aim of the treatment to treat the active epithelial lesions, and active epithelial lesions should be treated by lubricating eye drops are given, and in severe cases, along with the antiviral and antibiotic eye drops, steroid eye drops are also given in tapering dose, and if condition is improved, then we taper the dose of steroid to prevent the corneal ulcer. The disciform keratitis. Disciform keratitis, as name suggests, it is in disc form, and exact etiology of the disciform keratitis is not known, and it is controversial, and it is caused by the herpes simplex virus infection, and it affects the endothelium of the cornea is also, that is called endotheliitis, and it is also due to the hypersensitivity reactions of the virus antigen. So clinical features, it is subacute is onset and unilateral. Patient is having blurring of vision. And the disciform keratitis, it affects the only central part of the stroma. And sometimes epithelial edema is also present. Capes are present. Capes are present when iris is involved. If patient is having iritis, and small stromal infiltrates are also present, and there is form a ring around the ulcer. There is a ring shaped structure that is called Wesley ring. Here, this is called the Wesley ring. You see it? The center part is the disciform keratitis, and this ring is formed, that is called Wesley ring. It is most common in the disciform keratitis. Then its treatment. Treatment is also topical steroids are given with antiviral and antibiotic eye drops and antiviral drugs. Acyclovir are given in the ointment form 5 times a day for 3 weeks. If no improvement, then steroid is also given in the tapering dose gradually, and it is not given for short course, it give for several weeks, and gradually tapered in doses. Then trophic keratitis. This is the trophic keratitis. It is called metaherpetic keratitis. It is due to the failure of reepithelialization. And here persistent defect is present in the basement membrane. Its treatment is, what are the causes? So if the toxic topical drugs, any kind of topical eye drops are given that is toxic, that should be removed. And frequent topical lubricating eye drops are given to remove the pathological debris and preserve the layer of cornea. And topical antibiotic eye drops are given to prevent the secondary bacterial infection, and antiviral drugs are also given. So next time we discuss about the herpes zoster ophthalmicus. Okay, herpes zoster ophthalmicus, and today we complete herpes simplex virus, herpes simplex keratitis.